wise. So, but last time what we found that they have presented even cough, cold, temperature. But this time I think that the incidence of temperature is also not very high. Though a few kids are presented with quite high temperature, but compared to last time, this time I think very low grade temperature, mostly presenting as gastrointestinal symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain. A few children have seen presenting with just a sore throat and red eyes, so most more like an upper respiratory tract symptom, like a normal flu symptoms. But till date, we haven't found anything which can actually help to prevent them. So the basic thing what we need to know is the parents who are going out for work, I think they should be making sure that when they come into the house, they should be actually properly washing their clothes outside, or maybe make sure that they don't interact with the kids before they take a shower or change their clothes, because that's the only source of infection, what we think nowadays. So that's very important for prevention. So as far as prevention is concerned, I would say that primary prevention is more important nowadays, because of course we can prevent kids from having infection. So maintenance of ventilating hygiene is very important. And of course, we don't expect kids to wear masks at home. So there's no use of recommending masks at home, because I found few parents who are actually making the kids wear masks at home. It's not at all right, because unless they're really big kids, I don't recommend them to wear masks at home unless they go out or unless they go around the flat or around the complex. But I think there are medication wise, I think there is nothing much to do, because though we are giving a lot of vitamins and zinc, I think that just doesn't work like that, because we cannot uh, just spike up the immunity like that. Though it's it's mostly like a placebo, I think, because I think because giving me vitamins and zinc, because that's I think only the parental reassurance. That's the only thing I would think, because though we are prescribing some vitamins and stuff, but actually, honestly speaking, there is nothing much to do with immunity. It's inherent immunity. So, but luckily, in comparison to adults, they have better immunity than the adults. So the symptomatic cases, though, are present much more this time in comparison to last time, but still we think that they don't have serious symptoms this time. Maybe due to immunity, that the inherent immunity, but honestly speaking, the medicines don't do much. So my advice to the parents would be to give healthy food. Proper. The most important thing is providing healthy food with rich in protein. And number two, I would suggest to make them drink plenty of water, because of course dehydration is one of the causes of, because if they have diarrhea, vomiting, etc., and even any viral infection causes for dehydration. So I would suggest them to give plenty of water, if preferably ORS if possible. But if they don't take ORS, that's not a problem. You can give plenty of water, and of course, healthy diet. And if there are if the kids are slightly of the bigger size, like more than 10-year-old, like adolescents, I would suggest them to do some light physical exercise at home, do some respiratory exercise as well. Apart from that, there is nothing much to do. If there has temperature, give some Calpol and just bring the temperature down. But I don't regularly recommend to give Calpol, because I don't want the temperature to bring down every time, because that's the way the body fights against infection. So if the fever is really high enough, or if they have constitutional symptoms like headache, body ache, can give some Calpol. And of course, we are giving some zinc and vitamin D, and of course vitamin C, which we can give. But apart from that, I wouldn't be recommending anything at all. So basic thing is primary prevention. In case they get infected, which is quite possible, because in every family we're getting infection, nothing to panic. First of all, the most important thing is not to panic, because that's thing we start panicking and we start messing up things. So first of all, not to panic, because as I mentioned that though the kids are affected more this time, the serious infections are reasonably less. Make sure that the kid is comfortable temperature wise, eating and drinking well, and of course there are a few red flag signs which should be considered. First of all, that if they really are diarrhea, vomiting is serious enough to cause dehydration, if the child is not eating enough, if you think the urine output is very less, not drinking, having frequent vomiting, and if they are very drowsy, lethargic, or if they present with a generalized rash with red eyes, that may be a bit premonitory symptoms for a bit for further complications. Test wise, I would recommend that every kid should be get tested whenever they show symptoms, but it's not that you have to test on the day one, because any temperature at this time in this period of time, we should be considering it COVID positive. So whatever the symptoms are coming, upper respiratory tract symptoms or temperature or gastroenteritis, is COVID unless proved otherwise. So any illness in a child can be considered as COVID positive. So don't jump on to take tests on the same day, but eventually the kid should be getting tested. And of course, checking, of course, there are three things we need to check anyway, as similar to adults. Checking the oxygen saturation with pulse oximetry. Usually, the pulse oximeter which we use for adults is usually okay for kids more than 3-year-olds, but of course, for tiny ones, it might be a bit difficult, tricky to get the pulse oximetry. But nevertheless, just keep an eye. If they show change in color, if they show that they're lethargic, if they are really drowsy, of course they should be brought up to the doctor, to see a doctor, to the hospital. So testing wise, only we can do some RT-PCR for COVID. Apart from that, no blood investigations are recommended unnecessarily, because that doesn't help anything. No HRCT at all. Even if they're coughing, according to the latest guidelines, we can give some inhalers, steroid inhalers, but depending upon the clinical scenario, you should be contacting a doctor, whoever is looking after your kid. But never go for unnecessary tests like HRCTs, chest X-rays, and of course blood tests, because they are not very helpful in kids. The only thing I would like to warn the kids, I'm not actually scaring the parents. The only thing what can happen, because the only complication which happens in kids is called MISC, or post-inflammatory syndrome, or multi-system inflammatory syndrome, which happens few days after the kids get better from this COVID infection. So that's basically they present basically with a rash, with a temperature, redness of the oral mucosa, maybe the eyes might be red as well. So these are preventive symptoms for that particular condition. So if you find that the kids, after getting improved, so say after a couple of weeks, develop this sort of symptoms, definitely they should be seeing a doctor as soon as possible. But the incidence is very less. So I would suggest not to panic, but keep an eye on the symptoms. So basically, management is very simple in kids. Not to panic. Just keep an eye, monitor temperature, pulse oximeter, and regularly consult with your doctor, and preferably online. Don't have to go to the clinic. You can preferably consult the doctor online. So I think that's it. I don't think I need to say anything more about kids. But if you have any questions, you can just let me know. I can ask. So, Shumita, that's it for me now. I think nothing much to say about kids.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that was a very good discussion. Is there any question, Devaruti? Can I also request everyone? Sorry, Devaruti, can I just quickly say, can I just request everyone in the team to just mute their video?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, because these are very very bad distractions. We cannot hear so many background noises.
Shumita, Dr. Shoboshati, we've got one question. Is breathing problem a symptom for kids?
Of course, yes, because as I mentioned that this COVID virus can affect both upper respiratory tract, which includes nose and sinuses. It also involves the lungs. So breathing can definitely be a symptom. But usually, luckily, what we are seeing this time, the breathing difficulty was more prominent last time than compared to this time. But of course, it can be a symptom. So any breathing difficulty should be brought in. Should be contacting a doctor. Of course, we are checking the pulse oximetry regularly at home. But any breathing difficulty, should be considered a red flag sign.
Okay, thank you very much, doctor. Any other questions on kids for Dr. Shoboshati?
Okay, so I have one question from one of our patients. She was telling me that she was getting headache. The little child who came to me and with a headache, with a severe headache, for last 2-3 days, and with Calpol and paracetamol it was controlled, but the headache, what do you think, whether this is also a COVID symptoms or it is just a headache?
Yes, COVID. I mean, definitely headache is a symptom for COVID infections. I mean, any viral infection can cause headache, so it's not only COVID. The most important thing is, of course, giving analgesia is definitely important. If it doesn't get better by paracetamol, you can try some NSAIDs like ibuprofen along with that. But again, drinking plenty of fluids is very important, because sometimes what happens is dehydration itself can precipitate a lot of headache. So apart from giving medications, I think it's important to give enough fluids. At least I would recommend for a kid around 2 to 3 years of age, at least 2 to 2.5 liters of fluid is recommended at this juncture. So giving a lot of fluids and giving paracetamol, and of course, if it doesn't help, you can go to ibuprofen as well. But yes, it's a prominent symptom of COVID. Not only kids, headache is also a very common symptom for adults as well. And of course, if it persists more than 5 or 6 days, I think that should be considered as a red flag, considering whatever is happening nowadays. So any symptom which is serious enough, I mean, even if the temperature is very high, even the headache is very severe enough and persists more than 5 to 7 days, that should be also considered a red flag sign.
Thank you.
Right,
Doctor.
I got something else. Rash.
Yeah.
Rash.
Yeah.
In rash.
I mean, there are two types of rash we are worried about. First of all, any infection can cause a bit of rash. It's viral rash, viral exanthem. It can happen from day one onwards. But as I mentioned, that if the child gets getting better and then having rash after a couple of weeks, that is something which is very serious, because that is a sign of post-inflammatory syndromes or PIMS or MIC, whatever we say, or Kawasaki-like syndrome, because they can cause, that can be an indication of a serious symptom. So any rash on day one is not that serious, because it can be a part of the viral exanthem. But again, if the child gets better and develops rash and red eyes, that can be a premonitory symptom for the serious complications as
well. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Dr. Sudeep Basu has some questions, I think. Dr. Sudeep Basu. If Dr. Sudeep Basu can unmute. Dr. Sudeep Basu is muted.
Yep.
Dr. Sudeep Basu, need to unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks,
thanks, Shobhasachi. Very wonderful presentation. Now, you know that very recently there's a lots of confusion from the claim done by our favorite Chief Minister in Delhi that suddenly the wave 3 will come with another strain which will affect. Let's go. And that was vigorously protested by the people in Singapore, that it is the Indian strain which is causing the problem there. Now, what is your comment on that? Is there any validity in that?
I think the latest strain which is actually infecting everybody is nothing special for the kids because it can affect anybody. The only thing is the changing symptoms have happened, but again they are worrying about wave 3 because the only reason about that is because most of the adults are getting vaccinated. We haven't vaccinated the kids yet, so it might happen that a good number of adults are getting vaccinated, so they can escape the infection. So then the kids' affection can be more. But I think in India, I don't think that much vaccination will happen within the next few months of time. So the affection will be universal. I don't think the kids will be especially affected on wave 3, because in comparison to other countries, because in other countries adults are quite a significant number of adults are getting vaccinated, but in India I think it's only 3%. So the affection will be uniform, and I don't think that any wave 3 will happen. The wave symptom, I mean, wave 2 will continue, I think, for a quite long of time unless they're getting vaccinated. So nothing special for the kids. I don't think, unless unless you think that the adults are getting vaccinated and they are getting spared. So I would say that even if there is a wave 3, the entire population will be equally affected. Nothing special for the kids.
Right. So there is one more question from Mr. Mrigang Koshil. Any particular food habits that kids in the age group of 10 or 12 should maintain at this moment? And the other symptoms of adults and kids are similar.
I think nutrition-wise, as I mentioned, that there is nothing much to do with immunity, isn't it? We can change the eating habit drastically, because the kids who are not used to eat anything particular, we cannot just force them to eat just because to increase immunity. But still, in general, what we suggest is to give more proteins, because that can help in developing the immune system, that can strengthen the immune system. But nothing much difference happens. I would suggest to take the normal food. If possible, give them a little bit of more protein, because just pushing protein to a kids who is not used to have a lot of protein, like animal proteins or vegetables, we can't change the immunity within few days time. So let them have the normal food, but make sure that have the enough protein. The diet is quite balanced and the protein amount is reasonably good. That should be fine.
Okay. Is there any other question, Debaruti?
I can't see. One more question I think came around. Kids often have a tendency to have running noses.
Yeah.
Go out and season change. Is that a particular thing to worry about?
Well, as I mentioned last time, I mean, a few minutes back, that any viral infection can cause a rash, it can cause headache, it can cause runny nose. It's not nothing special with COVID. So even flu can cause this sort of symptoms. So these are basically upper respiratory tract symptoms of any viral infection. So nothing to worry about. If you think that the runny nose is really bothering the child, you can give some anti-allergic medications that can help with them. But otherwise, nothing to panic about having runny nose. It's a very common symptom.
Okay, I think we are almost in time to start our next session. Unless there is any other questions for Dr. Shobhusha, we can probably start with Dr. Raja Bishwas.
Okay, Dr. Shobhusha, thank you so much. I think everyone has got some sort of idea what to do with their kids at the moment. So hopefully they will again connect to you whenever they are in need or any of the pediatrician. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.